Chapter 1 Homework. For each chapter, I'm going to work out a few questions. Now, I want you to attempt the questions on your own at first, and then watch the lecture to see how I do it. For this chapter, I'm going to cover questions 2, 6, and 7. So we're going to start with question number 2. One good strategy when working out these problems is to look at what the problem is asking. So instead of just starting with the top of the fact pattern, I usually scroll down to the actual question. So in this question, it says, determine which revenues and costs are probably differential or not differential. And then it says, what will be the effect on LTH's income if the Northern Division stores are closed? So now I know, while I'm reading the fact pattern, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for information regarding costs so that I can determine whether or not the costs are differential or not differential. So now let's go back to the top. Lessing Toy and Hobby Company, LTH, is a chain of hobby stores and craft stores. LTH has multiple stores and is organized into two divisions, Northern and Southern. Individual stores are placed in one or the other division based on geography. There has been a change in demographics. There has been declining foot traffic. The corporate execs are looking to see maybe they should close down those stores and focus only on the Southern division. And then they give the most recent income statement for the Northern division. It shows us the revenue of $12,040. It's actually 12,040,000. That's what these 3 zeros indicate. But for our purposes, I'll just read them as the numbers show. So sales revenue is $12,000 roughly. It gives us the amounts for cost of goods sold, advertising, salaries, commissions, corporate support. Looks like we have a net loss, and then the tax benefit is 25%. The effect of income tax is to soften a blow. So if you have a lot of profit one year, income tax is going to soften that in a sense, and you're not going to have such a great amount of profit. If you have a loss that year, income tax will give you a benefit, and so it softens the blow of that loss. When you report income on a tax return, you're going to be charged income tax on the net income. And when you have a loss, you can use that loss to offset income in other years. In this case, for the Northern Division, the net loss is $292, and the tax benefit we get from that $292 is $73. So we have a net loss after tax benefit of $219. The CEO is looking to close the Northern Division. So here it's saying that total corporate support costs are not going to be affected. So that means these are not going to be differential costs. Also, for the Southern Division, their operations or costs are not going to be affected. But in the income statement given to us, it doesn't list the cost for the Southern Division anyway. It's the cost for the Northern Division. So that piece of information right there is extraneous, and it isn't going to have an effect on our question. So it says, using the worksheet below, determine which revenues and costs are probably differential or not differential, and what will be the effect on LTH's income if the Northern Division stores are closed. So let's take a look. So let's start with sales. If Northern Division shuts down, they're also not going to have any sales to report. This will be considered differential. For cost of goods sold, this expense will not be incurred. If the Northern Division is shut down, then it's not going to sell any goods out of the Northern Division. So this is going to be considered differential as well. Advertising is going to be differential. If you're shutting down the Northern Division, then the Northern Division no longer has to advertise. Administrative salary Those are administrators that work in the Northern Division, and if that division gets shut down, then those workers are going to be laid off. So that's differential as well. Sales commissions, that's differential as well. There's no salespeople to give commissions to if the division is shut down. Rent and occupancy expense, that's differential as well. Once we shut down, we're not going to have any locations to pay rent. And then finally, allocated corporate support. So looking at the fact pattern, it says that total corporate support costs are going to stay the same. They're not going to be changed if we shut down the Northern Division. So that means this expense is still going to exist. So this will be not differential. For part B, it asks, what will be the effect on LTH's income if the Northern Division stores are closed? So what we have to do is we have to calculate the net income or loss is after we remove the not differential cost, excuse me. So for sales revenue was 12,040. Cost of goods sold was 6,020. Advertising is 490. Administrative salaries is 810. Sales commissions is 1,624. Is 2,058. Allocated corporate support, for our purposes right now, we're trying to calculate what the change will be if we close down the division. So we're not going to count this because allocated corporate support is not going to change. The company as a whole is still going to incur this expense. So total costs would be 6,020 plus 490 plus 810 plus 1624 plus 2058. And so if we add that up, the total differential cost is $11,002. The net gain is 12,040 minus $11,002, and that gives us $1,038 in net gain. Now, instead of a tax benefit, since we don't have a loss anymore, we're going to have to pay taxes. So we're going to have a tax expense. That's going to be 1,038 times 25%, $159.50. So our net gain after taxes is going to be 1,038 minus 259.50, and that gives us 778.50. If we appropriately consider differential and non-differential costs, it can change the way we assess an income statement. This income statement shows us that the Northern Division has a net loss of $219. And so at first glance, we might see that and say, oh, the division is losing money, so we need to shut it down. Well, not so fast. Some of that expense, the $1,330, that's expense that we're going to incur either way. We're incurring it whether or not the Northern Division continues to operate or shuts down. When you remove the differential costs, we see that the Northern Division is actually operating with a gain. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we probably shouldn't shut down the Northern Division at this. If we shut down the Northern Division, we're going to lose out on that $778.50 of profit. And so that's a consideration that we're going to have to make. So I would say that with the information presented to us, the Northern Division should be kept open at this time. Question number 5 is pretty similar to question number 2. So I'm not going to work it out on video. I'm going to let you guys work on it. If you need help on that, please let me know. Question number 6. We're dealing with a consulting firm called BU. Again, we're going to start by reading the question. The question asks, what are the differential costs that would be incurred as a result of taking the contract? So again, we're looking for differential costs. Now we can go back to the fact pattern. It says BU is a consulting firm that works with managers to improve their interpersonal skills. Recently, a representative of a research firm approached BU, who then offered a contract for 1 year with BU to improve the interpersonal skills of a newly hired manager. So we're working with BU, and BU has a potential customer, which is a high-tech research firm. BU reported the following costs and revenues during the past year. So this is information about BU, and the fact pattern says it's before the proposed contract. So here it gives us categories that were similar to the categories used in question 2. It starts with sales revenue, and then it gives us amounts for labor, equipment lease, rent, supplies, salaries, and other costs. The fact pattern continues. It says that if BU decides to take the contract, they're going to hire a full-time consultant at $85,000. They are going to have to lease more equipment, and that will increase equipment lease cost by 20%. Supplies will also increase by 10%, and other costs by 15%. So the question is, what are the differential costs that would be incurred as a result of taking the contract? So the fact pattern tells us that we're going to hire a new consultant. So consultant labor, the differential cost would be $85,000. Equipment lease is going to go up. The fact pattern tells us that the equipment lease will go up by 20%. So that means that $40,000 times 20% will be an increase of $8,000. Supplies are going to go up by 10%. So $27,000 times 10% is going to be $2,700. And then other costs are going to increase by 15%. So 17,000 times 15% is 2,550. For our total costs, we would add up these four numbers and we get to 98,250. So the answer to 6 is 98,250. Now for question 7, it uses the same fact pattern as question 6. It says, if the contract will pay $100,000, should BU accept it? Well, the book answer is yes. The costs are $98,250 and the revenue would be $100,000. So that would give us a profit of $1,750. And according to the book, since taking this customer will ultimately result in additional profits to the company, then you would accept the job. Now, in real life, there would be other considerations. As a practical matter, for a $100,000 revenue job to only make $1,750, that's not a lot of money, relatively speaking, and it doesn't give you enough cushion. So if some of the costs are a little bit underestimated, maybe the equipment lease went up by 21% instead of the 20 that we predicted. Maybe supplies went up by 12, 13% instead of the 10% predicted, or maybe other costs went up by 20% instead of 15%. Whatever the case may be, if any of your costs are a little bit underestimated, then you can easily end up with a loss on this job. So practically speaking, a $1,750 profit type of job might not be worth it. You would have to make sure that the estimates are accurate, or raise your price a little bit so that you have more of a cushion in case the estimates are a little bit off. But when doing these types of analysis in the academic world, if a job results in even $1 of extra profit, then you would theoretically take the job. So those are the questions that I'm working out for chapter 1. Again, if you have any other questions on any other problems in the homework, or if you have further questions regarding the problems that I worked out, feel free to contact me. If not, I'll see you for chapter 2.